Commuters to pay more for bus fare and a payday coming for Clicquot policyholders. All that and more as we focus on the budget in this your Wednesday, March 20th, Barbados Today evening news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. We begin with news that commuters will pay $1.50 more in bus fare as of April 15. Prime Minister Mia Mottley announced the new $3.50 fare as she delivered her first financial statement and budgetary proposals today.
Accordingly, from the 15th of April 2019, bus fares will go to $3.50 in Barbados. We recognize that heavy users of the transport system will need to have discounts, and therefore the Transport Board will be announcing shortly the provision of weekly discount packages, monthly discount packages, and transfers. But, Mr. Speaker, what we can't do is to keep the bus fare at $2.
The Prime Minister also announced that taxpayers will receive up to $1,000 in cash in personal income tax beginning July 1st for the 2011-2016 period.
That will repay approximately 63,000 Barbadian households. 63,000 Barbadian households will be paid in full when they receive that $1,000. 74% of the 85,000 households that are owed will in fact receive the majority. This one-off payment, sir, will cost the government $39 million. But because this represents a debt owing to the taxpayers, this payment will not only put cash into the pockets of Barbadians, but, Mr. Speaker, it will keep us on track with our debt reduction targets.
Mottley also declared in Parliament that the time had come to put the Clicquot debacle to bed, and she gave a breakdown on how affected policyholders will be paid.
The government will offer the liquidator, the Financial Services Commission, enough cash from our bonds that will enable it to pay a maximum of $20,000 to the life insurance policyholders of Resolution Life. This, Mr. Speaker, will allow 8,944 persons, or 77% of the company's portfolio, to be paid out in full. I want to repeat myself. The payment of $20,000 will allow 77% of the policyholders in life insurance policies or annuity holders to be paid out in full. 8,944 people. Mr. Speaker, sir, much was promised and nothing was done. There's a word for men like that. It is not parliamentary. Mr. Speaker, sir, in addition, there are an additional 1,394 persons, 12% of the group, who will receive at least 50% of what they were owed when they received that 20%, that $20,000, sir. So that in truth and in fact, when you add that 1,394 to the 8,944, sir, you are already close to 10,000 people receiving either payment in full or more than 50% of what they were owed.
The Finance Minister also explained that payments for other policyholders will come in due course, saying her government could not do everything at once.
There is, however, a few people who are owed more than this amount. The government of Barbados does not have the cash to pay them. And we, therefore, sir, will issue to them enough Series B 15-year bonds. These are 15-year bonds to allow the Financial Services Commission to eventually provide payment in full for their life insurance policy. But they must get it over a 15-year period. We can do no better because we simply do not have it. For those who bought the fanciful and high-yielding executive flexible premium annuities, an instrument that sounded too good to be true, we're not leaving you on the side of the road. And we will provide the Financial Services Commission with a special 15-year bond to cover your original principal. The accrued interest that was previously proposed by the last government, I regret, we cannot afford it.
In other news this Wednesday, Barbados records murder number 19 for the year. 34-year-old Edward Chase of Lower Crescent, Gall Hill, Christchurch, lost his life following a stabbing incident in his community. Our Kareem Smith has the story.
Loud, sporadic wailing signaled that another community was in mourning as the body of Edward Chase lay lifelessly outside the Gall Hill Community Playground. Just before midday, the 34-year-old, better known as Chucky, reportedly fell victim to a brutal knife attack during an altercation with another young man also from the community.
Police have since responded to a report of a stabbing incident at Gall Hill Main Road in the area of Lower Crescent. On arrival, police discovered the lifeless body of Edward Chase laying in a pool of blood.
At the scene, family members, including Chase's mother and sister, were in no position to speak. However, Rosalind Wilkinson, a community elder, said she loved the deceased man like a son and said she was at home when the commotion started.
I could not get out the same time because my knees hurting me. But I tell you, if I could have get out at the same speed, this would have never happened. Because by the time he see me, and I did call to him, it would have never happened. I would have get in because all 12 of them is neighbors, all of us is neighbors, and it would have never happened. I would have get in calm. But I could not get there as fast as I had wanted to. Until I get there, he have already done. He have already get stabbed up, and my daughter them tried to revive him, the one that is a student nurse. But ambulance take long, and time to get here, he was already dying.
Wilkinson added that her adopted son had gotten into trouble with the law nearly a decade ago, but was desperately trying to get his life back on track.
I said, well, that is very good for me to hear from you, and I'm begging you, do not get yourself in trouble because I am not coming back to sign a bill for you. This time, you will last me in prison. I told him that. I tell me no, he will try his best not to get in. And this is my results this afternoon. But God is in control. He knows best.
Some observers predicted the stabbing would have a stifling impact on community efforts to arrest crime in the area, while others pleaded with authorities to step up their efforts. Meanwhile, police spokesman Michael Blackman pleaded with residents to help law enforcement crack the case, an appeal which has become much too common as relatives prepare to bury Barbados' 19th murder victim for 2019. Reporting for Barbados Today, I am Kareem Smith.
Nurses at the Winston Scott Polyclinic downed tools today over security concerns, and the healthcare professionals say they will remain off the job once there is no police presence. Most of the operations at the clinic came to a halt as the nurses met with their bargaining agents, the National Union of Public Workers, the Unity Workers Union and the Barbados Nurses Association amid a recent spate of violent incidents at the Gemmots Lane St. Michael Medical Facility. Head of the Unity Workers Union, Senator Caswell Franklin, tells Barbados Today the nurses cannot operate under such conditions. He says the Ministry of Health has been informed of the nurses' stance and the ball was now in their court.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In news from the region now, continuing strike action by some firefighters in St. Lucia is taking its toll on the service. Word of this from the island's fire chief, Joseph. More in this report from HTS News Force.
In an HTS News Force exclusive on Tuesday, Joseph says with the majority of firefighters out on strike, the current situation is untenable.
The majority of our members continue to be off duty. We have seen a slight improvement in the attendance as compared to over the weekend, and we are hoping that the issues can be resolved.
So far, the fire service, with its limited staff, has been able to respond with some delay to emergencies and has been able to keep St. Lucia's 2 airports opened. With the stress becoming more difficult with each passing day, the fire chief wants the disputing parties to resolve the issue with urgency before a bad situation becomes worse.
We are trying our best to deal with the situation as it stands. We have been able to maintain a presence at both airports, avoiding the closure. We have also been able to respond to critical incidents. So far we've been fortunate not to have had any major incident occurring during that period, and we are grateful for that.
This is day 8 of this unprecedented protest. The striking firefighters have been steadfast in their position. They want to be convinced that the government is very serious about addressing their long-standing concerns.
And finally, on the international front, a bus carrying 51 children was allegedly hijacked by its driver and set alight near Milan in Italy. The children, some of them tied up, were rescued through smashed windows at the back of the bus. No one was badly hurt. 14 people suffered smoke inhalation. The 47-year-old driver has since been arrested. And on that note, we come to the end of our news update. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.